Oh, there we are. Ho, ho, ho. Welcome to After Office Hours, episode 123. This is our holiday episode. You didn't know it when you showed up, but we're full of holiday cheer tonight. So I've got a excellent panel for you guys tonight. I've got Diane Kinney. Hey, Diane.
Hey.
Joe Casabona. What up?
What up?
And the little Ozzy R over there.
Hello. Sorry about my lower thirds. Google is giving me errors.
What you do with your lower thirds is your business, Ozzy. We don't have to talk about that on the show. Great
Get the
to have
explicit rating on iTunes.
Seriously. Great to have you guys tonight. Thank you for joining me. And for those of you who are tuning in live, it is always a pleasure to see you guys. And there's a couple ways you can participate. If you're on Twitter, use the hashtag OfficeFM. Or if you're on the Slack group, feel free to participate over there. If you have not joined the Slack group yet, you can do that for free over at officehours.m. No. Let me start that over. officehours.fm/community. What? Okay. So before we get going, I would love to thank our sponsor bringing us part of this evening tonight, and that is WP Engine. So WP Engine has this new developer program that they're rolling out. And we know about staging sites. I mean, you know what staging sites are, right? But now they have a free one. So even if you're not a WP Engine customer yet, you can get the free personal plan, which comes with like one website, and then unlimited staging sites that you can set up sites for your customers. And then once they're ready to go, transfer billing over to your customer. And if you have an affiliate relationship with WP Engine, you also get a commission when that's done. It's pretty darn sweet. So check that out at wpengine.com/developer-program/office hours. Tell them Carrie Dill sent you. And with that, are you guys ready to roll?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right. So we've had a couple of questions come in tonight, but before we get going on that, let's do a quick recap of WordCamp US that just happened in Philly a few days ago. Joe, I know you were there, and Ozzy and Diane, for some poor excuse, you couldn't make it, but you were.
I heard Philadelphia in December. It was really cold.
It was unseasonably warm, but that's like 47 to 50 degrees.
That's so completely unacceptable.
Yeah, and it was breezy.
Yeah, that's the worst. Like and then like you go back east, like the cold in the east is it's wet cold.
It's insidious.
And that makes it worse. So it's hard for me to handle. But I'm sure it was amazing.
Well, Joe, what were any main takeaways for you?
It was, I made it to 3 talks this year, which is 300 times more than the talks I made it to last year, right? Or 300% more, I should say. 300% more. I'm really bad at math, you guys. So I made it to a few talks, but I spent most of my time in the hallway track talking to people. And Matt Medeiros and I were talking about this earlier. Last year, it seemed like people were just really excited to be there. But this year, it seemed like people were ready to get down to business, right? And I equated it to, the first time you saw Star Wars The Force Awakens, you were just real excited for like a good Star Wars movie. And then the second time you watched it, you got more analytical, like, oh yeah, that part. And I see what J.J. Abrams was doing there. So this time it seemed like more focused. Like people came with an intent. They kind of knew what to expect. And I can happily say that I had some goals I wanted to accomplish, and I accomplished those goals. So,
boom. Well, you attended 300% more sessions than I did. Yeah, that's right. I went to one session live, and then I watched the State of the Word streaming from my hotel room because I needed a little bit of time away from the masses of people. There were like 1,800 or something people there. And I introduced myself to Vova Feldman for apparently the 10th time. So hashtag social fail. It happens. There were so many faces. It was awesome to get to see people, but It is an overwhelming amount of people.
Yes.
But since this is after hours, let's go ahead and stir the pot. Let's bring on just a little bit of drama. My dog made that noise. It did not come from me. So
that'd be some drama right there if it was you that made that noise.
I'm going to have to leave the show to you guys. I've got some things to take care of. No. So if you're at WCUS, then you probably already know this. If not, and you read the Tavern or Post Status, then you already know it as well. But short story, Pantheon, who was the $100,000 headlining sponsor, did this guerrilla marketing thing in the hotel where they were staying. And this is something, by the way, that they worked out the deal with the hotel. They paid the hotel a certain marketing package. It wasn't like they were just going and putting their crap everywhere. And
putting their posters up while everyone's sleeping.
Yeah, and graffitiing in the walls. And anyhow, so some words were exchanged. They were asked by the foundation, WordPress Foundation, to take those down. They said no. And I don't know all exactly the words or the tenor of those words that were exchanged, but basically before WordCamp started, late at night, they went in there, WordPress went in there and took down their entire booth, refunded their sponsorship, and gave them the boot. So let's discuss. Fair, not fair.
So who paid for the hotel?
Oh, Pantheon paid for it.
Pantheon did.
And the hotel was separate from WordPress?
Yes.
Well, that's the point of contention, right? The WordPress Foundation, from what I understand, from my inside sources, which is Post Status.
And you too, for $99, can have an inside source.
.com. The point of contention was Pantheon felt that the hotel was separate from the venue of the conference. The WordPress Foundation did not feel that way. And that's where the words kind of happened, and there were some butting of heads, and then Mullenweg got involved, and he said, that's it. You guys are out. You guys can't sponsor any. You guys can't pay us a ton of money in 2017 either, is basically what he said there. I think that Pantheon was perfectly justified in what they did. It's happened before. It's not the first time that a sponsor of a conference or even a competing conference has taken out ads in the hotel. Microsoft did this in 1994. Chris Lemma was telling me during a competitor's conference, they took out sponsorships in the hotel, the main hotel of the conference. And basically what happened was the conference people said, well, you got us this time, but you won't next time.
Oh, hey, here's just the good tidbit, because I got that same story from Lemma. But what Microsoft did was bought like 10,000 pillowcases. So when you put your head to bed at night at this conference, you got a big Microsoft logo on your pillowcase, which is pretty awesome. But it bottom line is that's standard fare at an industry conference, and WordPress or WordCamps. We're odd ducks. We have volunteers that organize and volunteers that speak, and
well, I think one of the interesting kind of aspects about it might be, there's all this unspoken etiquette, apparently. So I think it's a great marketing strategy, and you see it at tons of other events, outside the WordPress world. I mean, that's very common, like the Microsoft thing, blanketing hotels, branded room keys, swag bags, all kinds of stuff. But maybe the problem was that it wasn't clear. So Pantheon took the initiative. They did it. There's a lot of other, headline sponsors. Maybe they would have done it if they realized they could do it. I don't know. I think the whole thing is super weird, frankly.
I think it's petty. It's freaking petty. Someone's paying $100,000 to sponsor your conference, and they're creative enough to find a different avenue or an additional avenue to advertise, and you shut it down, even though
those were some fine-looking elevator doors. I mean,
they were.
It was pretty killer. So
yeah, the way I see it.
Go ahead. I'll add my 2 cents. I'm getting all this news as you guys are talking about it. I've been completely out of it.
I was going to say, just the way I see it is, we talk about growing the community beyond the 27%. But if you're going to tell people how to spend their money, we're not going to grow beyond that. You can't tell us how we're going to spend and make money and expect people who are willing to drop $100,000 to keep doing that. That's
okay. I agree with you guys. I see why Mullenweg would have to do that. And it's only because of those other huge top tier sponsors. They didn't think about it, or they didn't think of doing that. So it's like, and like a lot of those, like the Blue Hosts, they've been around forever. You know what I mean? And so to let kind of, and I would imagine, I don't know if you guys would agree, like Pantheon's kind of newish to the scene.
They are.
Right. And so it's kind of like new blood and afraid of what that might mean or do. Like, I mean, if it's not like at the actual conference, right, and it's a hotel, and they worked out the deal with the hotel.
Right.
Right. And it's one of those.
And nobody said to the hotel, don't let anybody buy any advertising.
Right. I mean, it's more money for the hotel. I mean,
right.
It's stupid.
They're not going to do
That's
it.
the bottom line. It's stupid.
I mean, it's just.
There we go. Well, we can beat the dead horse on another topic, but thanks, Jonathan, over in the Slack channel. He's posting an article that Tony Perez from Sakuri posted that was sort of how viable. What's the viability of sponsorships when you're spending these hundreds of thousands of dollars? What actual return are you getting, and how do you measure that? It was a fantastic article. So Google that or go over to WP Tavern and it will be on there. All right. So let's talk about some other, I don't know if it's really drama, maybe just piece for conversation, but this week, GoDaddy announced that it acquired WP Curve, which was a WordPress, I guess you'd call them kind of a maintenance outfit. But this comes on the heels of them acquiring Managed WP a couple of months ago, and then around that time also securing a relationship with Beaver Builder, not acquiring Beaver Builder, having a relationship with them to offer their plugin as part of their default WordPress one-click installs. But let's hear some thoughts. What do we think about this?
They did an acquisition in Europe too, right?
Yeah. They picked up a hosting company, I believe, out there.
Yeah.
Is that right?
HEG, I think. So, I mean, they're clearly growth by acquisition. And I guess, in the absence of Bob Parsons, they're having to do it more systematically. Say NASCAR. It's interesting because it makes me personally a little uncomfortable when all the lines are blurred, so incredibly blurred. So, GoDaddy would like, I'm sure many of us, to be fans and send business their way and do our hosting with them. But you have this same issue of tension that occurs in several places, right? So you want to market directly to the DIY builder. You want to give the DIY builder all the services, that they might need, kind of cutting people like us out of the equation in some ways. Not really, but kind of.
Different customers, I say.
Well, but I mean, okay, there's the four of us here who might have different customers, but I don't know that everybody would agree with that. I mean, there's definitely people out there with lower, price point customers that it's been a constant topic, where people are feeling the pinch of having that segment of the market taken away. So I think that's interesting. I mean, I'm kind of all for it, Yeah. Go have someone fix your small problem that gives me an enormous headache.
Ozzy, what say ye?
I mean, you kind of see, and like, I wouldn't expect these to stop. I would imagine like this, like the acquisitions that have happened just in the past or been announced lately have been in the works for probably, I don't know, at least a year or so. But I mean, it makes sense for GoDaddy. And not just, I don't think they're really buying clients so much. I think like they've had, I mean, one of the biggest complaints for GoDaddy has always been their support, right? And so I'm sure they tried really hard to kind of do it on their own or, spin up something like WP Curve. And then came to the realization that you just can't do that. Like you have to have some systems in place and all of that time and money that it takes to do that. So that's why they bought them. I mean, GoDaddy's going to be like a major player, like here coming up. I mean, they have all the money to burn. They could light money on fire every day and still be okay. So if you're like, if that's something that you're worried about, you might start wanting to look at something else because like it's going to keep happening. And if you can kind of see like tech companies like Google buys people all the time, and Amazon, I don't know if Amazon's done a lot of purchasing, but it's just what big companies do. And it's just happening in our space now. But our space is maturing because of that. So you'll see more and more of this stuff. Whether I don't know if I can say I like it or not. It's life and that's business. That's business. From my point of view anyways.
And the great Oz has spoken.
I had my moment.
No, I think it's a huge win for GoDaddy customers because you get, this whole managed WordPress piece is a new add-on to GoDaddy or a recent add-on to GoDaddy. So when you dial in their support, which by the way, I've always had great experiences with their support. At least they answer the phone quickly. But you get people on the phone, and if it's an issue with your WordPress install, then they get to say, "Oh, that's third-party software. We don't know," or "We're not responsible," or whatever. I mean, you get that from hosts all the time, from shared hosts. And so adding WP Curve, now you've all of a sudden got a support element that deeply understands the software, and that's golden right there.
Yeah, like it'll be interesting if they choose to sell like the WP Curve as an add-on, or if they're just going to take what WP Curve was doing, bring that into their existing kind of support system, and then try to scale it. Like it'll be interesting to see what they actually do with WP Curve.
Because on the surface, I mean, WP Curve couldn't even begin to support the scale at GoDaddy, right? I mean,
No.
not.
But if like you got to figure if you can throw, like if you have GoDaddy money and you just throw a ton of money at it, like you can hire people, you can hire. A lot of it is like they I don't know if they bought like. So a lot of times when companies buy another company, they're not buying like the people, they're not buying their computers or their capital. They're buying IP. They're buying like the knowledge, the years, and
the process.
The process. All of that's what they're buying.
Yep.
I'm really curious because their tagline in WPCurve.com is like $79 unlimited fixes, 24/7 support, right? So that's not a freelance outfit. That's like they have to hire some other data center, right?
Yeah, I mean they have their people. Like they're kind of a competitor with us. So I work at WP Sitecare, everybody, by the way.
Oh man, now I have to send Ryan an invoice.
But no, like they have their own people. They have their own teams.
Yeah.
You can't do that without that. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, though.
Well, all right. Well, man, anything else to say on that? I mean, womp womp.
It'd be interesting, like if anybody's listening, would like to share like their viewpoints on it. That'd be interesting. Like we all kind of come from the same backgrounds where we either like we've done support for people or we kind of know how that all works, and so. Or we've been in the space for a certain amount of time, so we view things a little differently. But
I think that the real people that GoDaddy's going after is automatic. Well, and here's why I think that, right? First of all, GoDaddy's like a Cinderella story. They were hated like vehemently like 3 years ago. Like everybody hated them. And now it's like, oh, they're not so bad. Well, they used to be bad, but now they're not bad, right? And like anybody who knows Mendel, like Mendel's like good as gold. And now they just released this new onboarding process where you pick a beautiful theme designed by Lyft, and you can install Beaver Builder and some other plugins, and you go through this process, and then you have the support. So they're offering the hosting, they're offering this nice onboarding process to get you installed and up and running with WordPress, and then they're acquiring support. Sounds a lot like signing up for a WordPress blog at WordPress.com.
yeah,
Exactly.
except
Although
you can't get a .blog domain at GoDaddy.
I
Can
know. Ooh, no. Well,
And you can't
Well,
get your
yeah.
name.blog if it belongs to someone that works at Automatic.
that's
What?
right.
you're getting more flexibility and more features at GoDaddy
Mm-hmm.
in that
You
model.
certainly are. Yeah. You certainly are.
Definitely. So I
Alright.
mean, yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that plays out too. Like
Yeah.
how that all. Yeah, it's going to be fun. 2017 is going to be fun to watch unfold.
So Patty just mentioned in the comments over on Slack that the bottom line is financials, and ain't that the truth? Like, it's not about the how do we feel about this? No, at the end of the day, it's money, and that's business. So, okay, I got no problem with that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they make money doing it, or how they turn that into. I don't think they've explained like their plans, and most acquisitions aren't like explained either. But
I did read something fairly detailed today.
did you?
Yeah, the strategy is kind of what I think you were saying, Ozzy, to expand and replicate their process, through some of the internal systems. One of the founders is staying, one is leaving. So there was some stuff, fairly detailed out, but it's definitely like a strategy to grow the quality, of service and capability, it sounds like.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Well, moving on a little bit, Ozzy, you mentioned that you work for WP Site Care, and for those who watch the news, LoopConf was created by your boss man Ryan, and y'all had like a hurricane. Was it Hurricane Matthew?
I don't remember the hurricane's name. It was a bad hurricane.
I think it was actually Matthew, but yeah.
Matthew.
What's the details, or can you share a little bit about when that's happening, where, and if it's going to be the exact same as it was scheduled to be then?
So it'll probably end up being a little different, just because. So first, it's in February now. It's scheduled for February 6th through the 8th. It's going to be in the beautiful city of Salt Lake City, Utah, which it gets cold there, but it's not wet cold, so you're good. It doesn't get like. I was there last January and it was like 10 degrees outside, but I was good. But no, yeah. So like he's actually coming out with a bunch of new news. I think he's hoping to do it next week. But we have, a lot of the same speakers are going to make it out again. We refunded. I know he refunded some of the money for people that couldn't make it, that were there, that made it all the way to Florida, and then it got canceled thanks to the hurricane. Or you could use that same ticket if you want to go to Utah. But it should be awesome. I didn't actually go to the first one. Diane, you went to the first one, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
I was
Did
very
anybody?
excited
Dills, did
about
you go?
going to-
I did not. I'm a
What about you,
LoopConf
Joe?
virgin.
No? Oh, you guys should all go.
Yeah.
I heard it was awesome, but it's different than a regular WordCamp. Or it's more in line with conferences that are like more of industries that are more developed. Like it's a bigger conference. There's a bigger price entry point, but you do get more out of it. And so, because of the higher cost of the tickets, like there's workshops, the quality of speakers tend to be a little better. We have some really awesome ones. But if you go to the site loopconf.com, you can learn all about it. And if you're still wondering, like sign up for the newsletter, and then you can get like the details as they come out. If you're still undecided, at least you get the news for everything that's LoopConf related coming down. But that's coming up pretty quick, right? 2 months.
February.
Yeah, 2 months. I'm looking forward to it.
I was actually like loading my car to drive over when it got canceled.
Yeah.
Man,
I just dropped my daughter off at school, and I was getting on a plane in like 3 hours. So I was going to go home, get my stuff, head over to the airport, and was like, oh, don't have to do that.
I was talking to Brian Richards. I don't know if you guys know Brian, a good friend of mine and whatever. And
Way to
WP
name
Sessions
drop.
guy. Boom. Let me pick that right back up. He has a fun story about that where basically
He did.
it got canceled like right after his plane took off. And then he had a layover in, I think, North Carolina or Atlanta or something like that. And instead of them just sending him back to Grand Rapids from there, they were like, no, you have to like go all the way through to Florida. And it's not like a weather emergency yet, so we can't refund your money. And as soon as the plane took off to Florida, they declared a weather emergency.
Yeah.
So he basically landed and then got back on a plane to go back to, I'll just say Georgia. I think it was Georgia.
Yeah, that's where a lot of people ended up.
Yeah. To go back to Grand Rapids. So it was just like a full day of flying, which sounds very close to my nightmare.
It was, yeah. I mean, just imagine like being the organizer of that conference, and it's like, oh, sorry, a hurricane's coming.
Yeah, that's a tough call to make. I mean, clearly he made the right one, but
and like handled it well. Like that, I think that was like communication, information, taking care of the people who were stuck there. Like I think that it was handled as well as you could possibly handle something like that.
Yeah. So that was pretty awesome to. Yeah, Ryan's a good guy.
He's a pretty stand-up guy. So WordPress 4.7 dropped.
So
this week.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe, what are you most excited about?
Well, I mean, REST API content endpoints. As a developer who hasn't touched the REST API yet, I'm pretty excited to touch the REST API. But from a user standpoint, I'm really excited about 2017, the theme, and then the starter content. Like, I think that those are just that's a really good 1-2 punch to show people, hey, WordPress isn't just a blog, right? Because people still think that. And up until 2016, they would see WordPress as being a blog, right? But now, with 2017, it's like, here's a business site right out of the box, and here's how you use it. Isn't that cool? So I'm really excited to see what do-it-yourselfers or site builders and stuff like that can do with 2017 and then the starter content. And I hope that people take the initiative to say, hey, WordPress is including starter content right out of the box. Maybe I, as a ThemeForest developer, should also include starter content so people can have a site that looks like the demo site, because that's like an impossible task.
So basically,
now that's just a crazy idea.
Crazy talk.
A site that looks like a demo site.
Crazy, I know.
You mean like when you first activate it? What?
That's like a pipe dream.
That is just crazy.
So to forgive my ignorance here, but on the endpoints. So before you use the REST API plugin, and now that has been rolled into core, are there any new endpoints that were exposed with 4.7, or is it basically just the plugin now sucked in?
Yeah, so as far as I know, it is it's not all the endpoints, I don't think. It's the content endpoints. I don't know what other endpoints there are. Like, I'm such a great developer. And you would need the plugin, or I think maybe Jetpack and WooCommerce. Like, I think they also enabled it. I think Yoast enables it, like Yoast SEO enables it. But otherwise, you would need a separate plugin to enable the REST API. You don't need that anymore. It just works right out of the box.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Ozzy, what are you excited about?
I don't know. I guess the REST API.
Ozzy, are you excited about anything?
I try to stay really even keel. It works for me. Well, what do they call the post templates?
Hey, that
That'll
was
be pretty
mine,
cool.
Ozzy. That was my 4.7 thing.
Well, Joe took mine. So that's what you get for going third.
Sorry, I feel like I took the good ones. So I was like, yeah, these.
Yeah, but the post the post templates will be really. I think that'll be cool once people get like used to. There's not too much extra that you have to do to use those, but I think people will find those a lot really easy to use, and then a new way to add content or manipulate your content, which will be good. All right, Diane. Now you got us stuck with like maybe they fixed something with the emojis. You want me to look real quick, or you could?
Yeah, you better look because I was on post templates. That was my thing, man.
Didn't they have like 160 bugs fixes or something?
Yeah,
I'm excited about those.
They fixed some bugs.
Yeah.
Very impressive. There were some things with hooks. Always good.
Yeah. How do you feel about that, guys? Like at this point, they're trying to change like the hook system.
Well,
Explain.
So they
Yes.
added a new class, right? Or the to be able like the WP_hook. So it changes. Like the old hook system still works. We had a couple plugins break with 4.7. That's the only thing. But it works, a lot of the same way. But I think we're transitioning away. It's maturing. We're moving away from kind of the way that old stuff used to work. But it's kind of the beginning.
Yeah.
The WP hook, it's a class or whatever.
oh, the other thing I am very excited about is the PDF thumbnails because if you do a lot of content, and I have clients that have, PDF, and there were, you couldn't see and they don't name them very well. So that's something that brings a little spark to my life.
PDF thumbnails.
Mm-hmm.
You know that we're pretty boring people. I mean, I hate to speak for you guys, but I mean, when post thumbnails are what it gets us up and going in the morning. PDF thumbnails, yeah, sorry.
Post templates?
Woo.
What? Those have always been there. Surprise.
Oh, well, not a post. Like,
No,
you had to do something
template.
special.
I meant like a feature.
Formats.
Yeah, that's different than post formats.
Okay.
Post formats. Let's talk about those.
Oh,
Those are
Um,
kind of dumb.
Pretty sure. Rip.
I just have shrug. Like that's all I have for that.
Yeah. I mean, it was a
they
good
were
idea.
a good idea. Or just
Was it a good idea?
Yeah, okay, that's as a theme developer, I think terrible idea because now all of a sudden you've given me a whole bunch of new crap to style.
Yeah, I don't think it was a good idea.
only
like,
if you wanted it to do it, though.
yeah, if they were like treated inherently different at all, like display wise, I'd be like, yeah, that's a great idea, right? Like, if you just if the link loop is different from the regular post loop, yeah, cool. But it wasn't. It was no different. Like, I was explaining post formats to my students one day, and I'm like, and if I do this, literally nothing happens. Not even on the default theme. So let's just forget about those. Like, that's basically what I said to my students.
Well, it was
Who are
basically
already
the same. It was kind of like putting them into a different category or a different tag.
Yeah.
All it was. They'll
It's just a
come
way of identifying them, which kind of made no sense.
Right.
So.
What it really was an attempt to rip off Tumblr, right? That's what
Right.
it really was. Yeah.
Right.
in.
That's very true.
Ooh, shots fired.
Yeah. Sorry.
Very true.
Yeah.
Who bought Tumblr?
Yahoo.
Oh God, what a terrible.
Yeah, I know.
If you could look back and like that was dumb.
Yeah. Now, but now,
1.2 billion or something.
yeah, that and Flickr. Now Verizon owns all of it.
The olden days.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Flickr is
Still
owned
pretty
by
cool.
Yahoo.
That's
I
so
love
2004.
Yeah,
Well, remember when like these things were amazing? Like
Yeah.
Flickr.
Yeah.
yeah.
No E. Flickr,
Revolution.
no E.
No E.
Tumblr, no E.
No E. Yeah,
Everybody was
Trendy.
against the E.
yeah.
I
Yahoo
dropped
just
the
like
E off my
That's-
name.
Oh yeah.
Actually was going to have it legally changed, but then
Yeah.
the E came back
Yeah.
in fashion, and I'm like, okay.
You heard it
would have.
here.
Yahoo
Right?
probably would have bought you for 1.2
I
bill,
know.
too.
I heard Carrie Dale's dropped. That's what I just heard.
Yeah, she
Boop.
dropped the E.
Yeah.
Drop the E,
Yeah.
baby.
She's
So let's move on to Calypso a little bit. Shane over in the chat room asked about it earlier, but so what did Matt say? It stated the word how much percent JavaScript, and it wasn't different from last year, but I want to say it's like 25%.
Yeah.
Somewhere maybe in that area. But Calypso is a completely React-based, if I'm not mistaken, feel free to jump out there and correct me, interface for WordPress that's created. It's an automatic product. It is open source, but I don't know. Do you think that WordPress will see that come over?
Well, the weird thing is, I mean, I've used Calypso. It's a long way from a admin replacement today. So that's kind of weird. Like it seemed like during State of the Word that there was kind of this phrasing that someday, Calypso could be the WP admin interface. Not sure how that would work. I mean, it wouldn't look like Calypso anymore. It would have a lot more stuff in it, I would think.
It's not too far off. I mean, if I had to just throw a gross percentage out there, I'd say maybe 60% of what you can find in admin is available in Calypso. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly it's created in its current state for a .com user who is not a technical user. So there's
Right.
not all those access points, even though you can totally hack the URL and still get to them.
Right. And I mean, like that's kind of who we're building. I mean, that's mostly who the admin is for, right? People managing content. I think really this was very forward thinking of Automatic, right? Because with the REST API, you can theoretically have a WordPress site that looks nothing like a WordPress site, that uses barely any WordPress core code, right? Except for the API. Once the API is like complete, or most or all of the endpoints are merged into core, you can have an admin that pulls in everything without needing the WordPress admin. So you can have people saying, man, the WordPress admin looks really crappy. I'm going to build my own. But now you have kind of Calypso as a base. So you're keeping a consistent look and feel with a completely JavaScript-based, REST API-based admin replacement.
I think the thing that's interesting, not necessarily specific to Calypso, but I feel like there's a lot of like glossing over the admin, right? So you have some big functions in there, like the installation of plugins, settings, updating plugins. And, once a site gets to a certain size or configuration, some of those become hazardous activities. You have potential conflicts. So you have that technical aspect in the admin. And then I think the admin kind of falls into three pieces, and it almost needs to be split into those three pieces and really looked at a lot more thoughtfully. So there's things you do, maybe once, right? Set the URL of your site, determine if it's a blog or a front page, and those things are all mixed in with things that you do routinely, like flushing permalinks, So I think from a usability perspective, it would make sense to start looking at like, what are the set it and forget it, and kind of move those into configuration. What are the things that are true maintenance kind of tasks, and move those, and then get all of the content together. So here's the content on your site. Here's the easy path to edit it. Don't throw in things that are like not content editing with content. I just think there's a lot of thought that could happen there, and a lot of potential improvement.
Well, so I agree, and I think what Calypso gives us, and maybe just the REST API gives us, is the ability to say, what would the WordPress admin look like if it was designed in 2016 or 2017, right? And
right.
One of the things I liked best about State of the Word is that Matt announced that they're going to take a design-first approach, right? And he didn't just say it like mockups first, right? He said it like, we're going to do user research and stuff like that. And I hope they do, and I hope they make it public. Like, I hope it's like truly open source stuff. And that recent hire, the new director of design or whatever he's called, makes a lot more sense now. But I think what we could see is a much better, a brand new interface. And, there'll still be a transition period where users can say, show me the old interface. But I think that these tools are pushing us in the direction of what would the admin look like if it was designed today?
On that note, I'm going to put a hard break in here and say thank you to all of you who are listening live. If you want to participate in the conversation, shoot a tweet to #OfficeFM or join in the Slack channel, and that is completely free. Just go to officehours.fm/community to join the conversation there. And I got to thank our mid-roll sponsor, and that would be Real World Freelancing. So Real World Freelancing, the no BS survival guide for freelancers. So what this is a book that's coming out in early 2017 that is written by two really wonderful women that I respect in the WordPress community. Both those ladies are on the podcast tonight. But the book is the cumulative experience of our, I don't know what, some 35, 40 combined years of freelancing. World. Yeah, I know. You know what? I started when I was 5, right?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I started when I was young. But it's forget the fluff. Like, this is what to expect. These are the ABCs of how to set up your business, how to set up some structures and processes that will lead to your success. So basically, if you want to follow the camping analogy, light your path, give you a compass, all of the above, give you a backpack full of
just
supplies.
Like Dora.
What is it?
Which one of you is Dora? Which one's Boots? Just walking around getting into freelancing trouble together.
Yep, that's exactly it. But you can check out more on that over at realworldfreelancing.com.
I'm looking forward to that, actually.
Me too. A lot. Yeah.
I am too. I wonder how it's going to turn out.
You guys are smart. You guys know
oh my
your
gosh,
stuff.
Thank you.
I trust your opinion. I trust and value your opinions more than other people's. So
well, I appreciate that.
I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with.
Well,
us too. No, just kidding.
Can I just say, completely unrelated, that it has been sub-freezing temperatures in my house all day. It's where I'm wearing this hat. Yes, it has been so cold. Like, the heater forgets I'm on because it's a Nest, and if I don't ever pass in the living room where it is, it doesn't realize anyone's home. So the temperature drops. But now my husband is home, and he's in the living room, which means it triggered on, and now I'm freaking hot. But my hair is awful. I can't take off the hat. Like, I've committed to it. So
You made a commitment.
I did make a commitment, and it was a big one. Okay.
Do it. Look at my hair. I've got like what would happen if somebody beat up Uncle Jesse's coif. Like that's what my hair looks like right now.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of valid.
And
Excellent Full House reference right there.
I've lost all of mine, so I think you're good to go, Dills.
Yeah.
Ozzy, did you lose it or did you just shave it?
I started cutting it really, really close because I started losing it. I never wanted to be one of those people that even like, oh, he's growing his hair out so he can comb it over. I never wanted to be even remotely close to that position, so I just started cutting it.
Okay.
Like,
No
really, really
Trump
short.
hair.
I would like to say, somebody take a little screenshot of Ozzy next time he pops on and Photoshop in him like a Trump comb over and then tweet that.
Worst.
First to do it wins the prize of my loving admiration.
So here's the terrible thing. So Benny, he works at WP Site Care. You're my inspiration, Benny, except for when he like photoshopped like a clown wig on me, and I'm not a big fan of clowns. So, and then he like photoshopped like the paint on my face. It was terrible. But yeah, I don't know if that could be beaten. If he's listening, he'll probably send it to you now, Dills.
Okay, excellent. Well, hello at Office Hours FM. You can just email that directly to me, and I'll be sure to share it with the
Great.
community. Okay, so another question, if we're going back to the JavaScript topic. So last year, it stated the word. Matt basically told everyone to go fall in love with JavaScript and to learn it deeply. And this year, it was like, okay, how many people actually have gone and learned JavaScript deeply? And I don't think it was that much of a higher percentage. But Shane asked, I wonder what percentage of the WordPress community are quote unquote hardcore JavaScripters. Is everyone starting over?
I think JavaScript is kind of a specialty. Like, you know, are you talking about React? Like, what kind of JavaScript are you learning deeply? I don't know.
There's some different frameworks.
Or even just vanilla. So, I mean, just understanding JavaScript at a
Who actually wants to
fundamental
learn JavaScript? Not this girl. I mean, I made it all this time. I'm not starting out.
I don't know. Probably about the same amount of people that use WordPress in the world. Probably like 26%, 30%. Probably about a third, I would think.
So after Matt announced that last year, I started talking to other front-end developers, and I dabble in JavaScript. You know, I need like 10 recommendations for me to look at a framework. Otherwise, I would be learning a new framework every day.
Right.
But, you know, I dabble. I know my way around vanilla JavaScript and jQuery, and I think I almost understand scoping. And I'm learning React now. And I was talking to other front-end developers, and they were like, I don't know any JavaScript. I'm like, how do you – and so this was like the very antithesis of the teacher and me. I was like, how do other people who are also in my position not know any JavaScript? And it's mostly because the stuff that you used to do in JavaScript, you can kind of do in CSS now. And
Right.
you know, so I'm super excited to learn JavaScript deeply. I'm like wearing the T-shirt and everything.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
wow.
I know.
I'm not.
So, because it's, you know, let me tell you something. I used to consider myself a back-end developer before I started working at Crowd Favorite. And then I met real back-end developers. And I was like, I'm just a front-end developer who can manage my way through some back-endy things.
So that's actually a very interesting question I've had for a long, long time. In the WordPress world, what is a back-end developer versus a front-end developer? This is fascinating to me because I do not understand this.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, that's a can of worms. Like, what is a front-end developer? That list can. I think the short answer is the lines are blurred. Like, you can say, okay, HTML and CSS and some basic scripting. Like, that's for sure front end. But then when you get all into these like PHP, which in itself is not a difficult language, but those are, you're starting to interact with the database, which I consider back-end. Like you're writing custom queries, or you're like the definitions seem really blurred to me. I just always think if somebody's a kick-ass database person, they get the title of back-end. I don't know, Joe, like you said, and I think I know some of the people that you probably have in mind when you say this, but when you got to Crowd Favorite and saw what their skill set was, can you describe what some of those kind of trademark back-end developer-y skills are?
Yeah, so I think the main thing that differentiates them from me is, so I was gonna say architecting software, but like I love that. Like that's one of my favorite things to do. So I'm not gonna put that in there. I'm not gonna say that's squarely back-end development, or maybe that's like the part of back-end development that I know. But here's the first thing that I saw them do that I'm like, oh my, well, this is why they're a back-end developer. They were writing just like straight up complex queries using using WordPress, right? So they would send like, instead of using like WP query to send like a list of arguments, they were writing very complex things to do stuff faster. They can do things with like caching and things closer to the server that I don't even remotely understand. So I'm considered a front-end developer, and I build out themes. I do some light plugin work, but I'm not doing any heavy lifting with data, right? I'm not doing data imports, which is something that you don't really see a whole lot on the WordPress side, but at least for us happens on almost every project, right? So that's not something that I'm doing. That's something our back-end developer is doing, right? The things I'm doing are I am like architecting some custom post types and data structures and things like that. I also have my master's in software engineering, so I don't know, that's why I used to think I was a back-end developer. I'm like, well, I've got the master's degree, and therefore I can do that. But
heck yes.
I can join 3 or more tables together.
Yeah, exactly, right? Which I can do, but it's really painful, right? So I think the main differentiator is that they're doing stuff like so close to the server. They're doing like the performance optimizations on the server side that I would say front-end developers focus more on the browser side, right? So we want things to be like fast for the browser. They want things to be fast for the server.
So that's really interesting because my background I oversaw application development, and my kind of pet love is data architecture, data import, ETL. Just give me some data and let's do some stuff with it. So I always thought it was really interesting because front end, back end, I always saw it more as a trifecta, right? Front end interface, middle layer, back end to me is data. So I just always thought that was really interesting.
So yeah, I don't know. I think I think developers should care about how fast it is in the browser. But as far as like talking to the database, I think that should be really important too,
Yeah, efficiency.
Like it's one of those, but I don't know. I was never really able to decide, come to like a great definition that everybody agreed on.
Right. And it's like
Wikipedia.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting in the WordPress ecosystem because the lines are really blurred, right? But like, my friend was at a startup for a while, and he was doing essentially data science with Python, architecting databases, running huge queries, creating like these ghost tables to better execute those. And like, that is super back-endy, right? Like I can't do that. But then he was like messaging me going like, yo, how do I do this thing in CSS? So it's WordPress certainly blurs the lines and is blurring it even more now that we have a REST API, and probably a lot of backend things are going to be done in JavaScript. So it's becoming an increasingly hard question.
I don't think that's just unique to WordPress, though. I think it's
the web
in general.
Yeah. Like doing more stuff in JavaScript, you mean, or just
No,
like
in
blurred
terms of the
lines?
lines being blurred of what is front end development. It's
Mhm.
not. It does not fit in a neat box.
I think it outside, even like app development, it's a little clear. Traditional products, it's a little clear. It's like the web where everything starts to get the most.
Mhm.
Like there's so much merging and overlap. Like if you talk to a team, that's building iPhone apps, they've got some pretty clear, divisions, much clearer than we jack of all trades people tend to have.
Yeah. Maybe the future of development on the web is just, it's not going to be front or back end anymore. It's just going to be like web developer with a specialty in.
Yeah, it would actually make a lot more sense if we,
Yeah.
Looked at it like that a little bit, because you can have, a skill here, and a skill here that are really useful and not necessarily, like me with no JavaScript really. Although I can do some cool shit with jQuery, so I just want to put that out there.
Well, where I really think it's moving, then if we're not going to term it front end developer, back end developer, I think we're just going to move to the more umbrella term of webmaster.
Yes, my favorite. No.
Let's bring that back.
I've actually gotten emails referring to me as web mistress, which is like a whole other level.
Snap.
That's dirty.
That's even. That's terrible. That's
I
terrible.
do think they'd be calling me that. Unless we know each other much better.
Yeah. Don't need to bring our spousal pet names into the conversation.
There's no spouse involved. No spouse.
Well, we have, believe it or not, we've actually been chatting on almost an hour now. But as we get ready to wrap up, I would love for you guys to share any insights, tools that you've come across recently, articles that or books, or another podcast, or something that you have consumed recently that you've either found helpful in your business or helpful as a developer. Who wants to start?
I'll start. I have a new favorite. It's just a tool, but it's an awesome tool. It's raindrop.io, which is a new bookmarking tool. And it is easily the best bookmarking tool that I have ever used, going all the way back to Delicious, Pinboard, everything else. They cover the whole, spectrum, phone, browser, desktop app. But the nice thing about it is the interface is beautiful. It has all kinds of options where you can sort things by date, popularity. You can go to a page and say, make a screen cap of this page, so you have a reference of why you saved it. It's got this nice icon feature, so when you make a collection, it has some kind of pattern matching. So when I type in shopping, it gives it an icon of a shopping bag. When I, say read later, it puts an icon of a book. So, it is just my most favorite new tool, Raindrop.io.
Sweet. Thanks, Diane.
Hopefully not going to evaporate like all other good tools do.
Well, it is made of water. And
I know. Evaporate.
But then it'll come back down, right? Because when water evaporates, it becomes rain. So,
Rain.
Yeah. I'll go next. I think I'm next alphabetically, probably, in this list. I don't know. I've got I've been like living in WPCLI land all week, and that's like the first time I've really dug into it, and it's awesome. It's like super developer-y though. I think something I recently read that is more relevant to the conversation we've been having today is JavaScript for web developers. It's a book by Matt Marquise, Wilto on Twitter, and it's in a book apart book. So of course it's amazing. And if you've never touched JavaScript, it's like super duper useful. If you've been working in JavaScript, there are like these little bits that you get that are really great, like where he talks about scoping, which is like an impossible thing to understand in JavaScript. So it's like 100 pages maybe. It's at abookapart.com. and it's a really, really great resource if you're looking to learn JavaScript.
Cool. Am I next?
Yes.
It's all you, man.
I don't really have any cool new tools. I don't know. Oh, we released that plugin last week.
Would you like to elaborate?
Yes. If you have like recipes on your site, we took we manage a lot of food bloggers at WP Site Care. We take care of a lot of food bloggers, right? And so we kept running into walls with the way that their recipe plugins worked, and what they would and wouldn't do, how easy they were to work with. So in collaboration with Shaybox, we built a plugin. It's called Cookbook. You can go to cookbookplugin.com to go read or find more about it. But it's a really great recipe plugin that you could use on your site. So that's about it, though. It's
cool.
Awesome.
Check that out because there has been a dearth of decent. I mean, most of them are terrible.
Yeah, and like we dealt with a lot of them, right? And so we kind of took the best and the worst, or we saw the best of them, we saw the worst of them, and we tried to make it better. So
it even has nutrition information, which is
yes, and it's all schema'd, so you don't have to worry about that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I'm going to throw one in the mix that I haven't actually done yet, but it's rather hot off the press. So a guy named Wes Boss, I had him on the show, I believe it was last season, but he's incredibly smart. He wrote the a Sublime Text user guide with all these shortcuts to Sublime Text, and then he also teaches JavaScript, but he just came out with JavaScript 30, and it's just a 30-day vanilla JavaScript course. And if you're not familiar with the term vanilla, that just means like basic, like no framework, like it just is like vanilla HTML, vanilla CSS, vanilla JavaScript. But anyways, it's free. You can do that over at javascript30.com. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up. I need you guys to think of one incredibly inspiring thing to say before we go. And while you're thinking of that, I would love, again, to thank our show sponsors. Thank you so much, WP Engine. If you're looking for a free staging sites, head over there. Look at wpengine.com/developer-program/office hours. Whew, that was tough to get out. And then also Real World Freelancing, a book designed for freelancers to give you the what's up. You can learn more about that at realworldfreelancing.com. And I know it goes against every marketing type thing in the world to give you guys multiple links, multiple quote unquote calls to actions at the end of the show, but I don't care. I'm doing it anyways because you know what? I'm spreading the information. And that is, if you like what you're hearing tonight and want to more of the same, go over to officehours.fm. You can find this episode and all previous episodes. And if you go to officehours.fm/subscribe, I'll send you a little loving weekly email letting you know when new episodes are published. So with that, Diane, what you got?
my most inspiring thing. 2016 sucked. I'm really glad it's almost over. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever works for you.
All right, Joe.
See, I loved 2016 because I got married. I have a kid on the way.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's pretty great. But I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite quotes from John Carmack. He says, if you want to set off and go develop some grand new thing, you don't need millions of dollars in capitalization. You need enough pizza and Diet Coke to stick in your refrigerator, a cheap PC or Mac to work on, and the dedication to go through with it. We slept on floors. We waded through rivers.
Love it.
Wow, that was actually inspiring.
I love that quote.
That was. I'm going to go listen to that again.
You better post that somewhere.
I will. I'll post it in Slack.
All right.
Ozzy, should we skip you, or you're ready to participate?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right, bring it.
I went and searched for fortune cookie messages. I'm gonna give you guys a good one.
Uh-oh.
Hidden in a valley beside an open stream, this will be the type of place where you will find your dream. And also, the Red Sox got Chris Sale, so suck it.
What?
Suck it.
Oh man.
That's inspirational. I'm inspired for 2017. Let's go.
Are you a Red Sox fan?
I am, sir.
Oh boy, I'm a Yankee fan, born and raised in New York.
That's all right. Nobody's perfect.
Well, dang it,
Nobody
that's not a
cares
hard one
about
to
your
follow.
baseball. We've been over this.
Well, Diane, Joe, Ozzy, thanks so much for joining me tonight. And for you guys who tuned in live and were asking questions and participating over in the Slack channel, I love that. Appreciate that tremendously. For those of you who are listening after the fact, I sure appreciate that as well. Everyone have a fantastic rest of your week and weekend. I have a new episode out this coming Monday, and then our next live episode will be that first week in January. So be on the lookout. And until then, guys, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and whatever else you celebrate. Cheers.
I celebrate it all.